as an observer and a keen economist, what happens to the British economy if there is no deal?
Oh, I'm not countenance no deal. I'm not willing to countenance that. I don't think it's a realistic option.
But I mean, the government's talking about it. They're talking about it.
There is not. I don't think there's a majority in Parliament for no deal. I think on a cross-party basis, you'll see in the debates in the coming week, the government will get the message there will be a deal.
Are you saying that the House of Commons can stop the government from a no deal scenario?
I don't believe there's a majority in the House of Commons for no deal, and I think the government needs to recognise that.
But there is no vote on that in the House of Commons. The government can negotiate.
When we amend the legislation, which I think we will, I think there's a majority to do that, to have a meaningful vote, is what we've said all the way along. We'll be able to say to government, whatever you're negotiating, it will not be on the basis of no deal, because the damage to this economy would be so great.
Isn't this really, really bad negotiating?
No, not at all.
Well, you heard Richard Tice, and he was saying, if we haven't got a plan B, if we haven't got a way of getting out of it, then they are just going to screw the screw tighter and tighter and tighter.
Before I came into Parliament, I'm a trade union negotiator. I was chief executive of a local government association with an office in Brussels. I negotiated in Brussels. You do not negotiate in this way, from any negotiation. What you say is, what's our mutual interest, and you have mutual respect. And on the basis of mutual interest and mutual respect, we believe we can get a decent deal, because our European partners are dependent on us as we are upon them for this deal working. It will damage them as much as us. We should not. This isn't about. Let me just say this, Andrew. I worry for our country as a result of what's happening within the Conservative Party. This isn't about negotiating with Europe. It's about fighting amongst themselves. If they can't negotiate a deal, they should get out of the way and let us do it.
But you can't stop this. I mean, they are doing what they are doing.
Parliament can. I don't believe, and you've seen in the papers today.
How?
Well, they haven't got a majority to get through a no-deal situation in Parliament. We amend the legislation for Parliament to have a meaningful vote that will force the government to negotiate, come to their senses and negotiate properly.
And you're talking to Tory MPs about this right now, I assume?
There are discussions going right the way across the House.
And when are we going to see this vote? Because at the moment, as I say, the government are talking about no deal.
Well, shall I tell you why we're not seeing a vote next week? Not because there's 300 amendments that have been put down, most of them by actually their own side, but because they're now negotiating with their own backbenchers on just how much they can get through. They're more interested in negotiating to save the party, the Conservative Party, than they are in the interest of the country. That's why I think actually it is a disgrace. They should come to their senses, behave responsibly and look after the interests of the country.
Let me just take one step backwards and ask again, because we can't know what's going to happen in these negotiations. We're not there. It is possible, from what the government have said and from what Michel Barnier and Mr Juncker and others have said, that despite all the optimism, we end up without a deal. I ask you again, what would that mean for the British economy?
Well, we've said, and you've seen in the papers today, it's not just me saying it, business leaders in particular, and trade unions, so representatives of all sides of industry, are saying this could be disastrous if we go to WTO rules. That's why we need a new relationship with the single market. I genuinely think there are enough sensible people in the House of Commons to say this cannot happen. We cannot damage our country in this way. That's why I think no deal is not an option. We've got to say to the Prime Minister, stop this squabbling now. These internal party conflicts have got to be put to one side in the interests of our country. OK, you think this, you hope this, but you can't be sure what's going to happen next. Labour might very well come to power quite soon. You might be a Labour Chancellor quite soon after a no-deal scenario when the economy is in deep trouble because of that, in your view. In those circumstances, do you look again at your plans? Do you reschedule your plans? Do you drop some things? Do you look again at your spending plans? We will deal with whatever mess the Tories leave behind. But I'm not willing to countenance no deal. I will work with anybody in Parliament to secure a decent deal for our country. I will put aside any party interest in the interest of our country.